This video will include gameplay footage from the new Vecna mini expansion, and I will be talking a bit about the quests and the story, so if you want no spoilers, you may not want to watch this video. Hey, what's going on, DDO players? Axel here. So today we're going to talk about the Vecna mini expansion. I'm going to give you an early review and my first impressions. I have played all 13 of the mini expansion quests and a few of them twice. I played them on Lamania on previews 3 and 4. So this expansion, as of the release of this video, is not out yet. It'll be out on August 16th, 2023. But I want to give you all some information to judge your purchase on. And for transparency reasons, I want to let you know that as a content creator, I was gifted an Ultimate Fan Bundle version of the Vecna mini expansion by SSG. But don't worry, it's not going to affect the opinion in my review whatsoever. I'm planning on doing a full proper review later. This is just a general overview. So yeah, let's talk about it. I want to talk about the public area, some of the quests, some of the monsters, some things like that. So let's just get started here. The public area, let's talk about that first. So the public area, it looks awesome. Here's footage of it. It's a lot better than the Sharn public area. It's one of the better public areas, probably this, I would say like the second or third best public area they've ever done of all the expansions. It looks really good, very wide open, really nice views of Sharn. There's multiple teleports also to get around, so even though it's large, you can pretty quickly get around. Also, which I think a lot of you will like, all of the mainline quests are kind of clumped up near each other. However, when it comes to the side quests, and from what it appears to me is that there's 9 mainline quests and 4 side quests. The 4 side quests are kind of off in their own little area, but the nine mainline quests, which is split into 2 parts, are kind of all there clumped together. So those aren't hard to find or hard to get around to. I know most players will, it seems like, prefer to have quests conveniently clumped together in a public area. Of the mainline quests, there's a few I want to highlight here. So the mainline quest. So the first half of the 9 mainline quest chain, the quests were a little longer, I think, than the second half, and they had more to them. The maps overall, especially comparing this to Saltmarsh, seemed bigger to me. I think overall we have more. You can have more content per dollar here than Saltmarsh. The quests are a little longer on average. I know Saltmarsh has a few like Dunwater that are longer, but overall, I think this mini expansion has longer quests with bigger, more varied maps. The storyline in this mini expansion is all about you and the Traveler working to thwart Vecna's plan to take over Eberron. I'm not going to give away too much of the storyline in this video. I just want to give you a general impression here. So most of the quests have you going through the city, but there are some that fling you out to other locations. For example, as you go through the mainline quests, you're going to also work with some famous villains from DDO's history who are going to assist you and the Traveler in taking down Vecna. So you do go to some of the home locations of these famous DDO villains. Their assistance actually helps you in the last quest, and one mechanic I will spoil, which isn't a huge spoiler here, but the last quest has a similar mechanic to the last quest in Isle of Dread, where you can get certain blessings to make the quest a little easier. You aren't required to flag, but there are 4 different blessings you can get for the last quest, and if you get some or all of them, it will make which I believe it's all tied into the end fight. Again, this is all preview, and I didn't get it. Not everything was done, but I believe the intention here was essentially the end fight's easier if you have these blessings, but you don't have to get them. Kind of like in Fallout Forbidden Temple, how the quest is a little easier if you have them, the curse removal marks, but you don't have to have them to do the quests. One other quest I want to highlight is called Grand Theft Arion, which is an obvious pun, which to Grand Theft Auto, which this one does support stealth play. This is the one that kind of stood out to me as the most different of all the quests. There is a stealth objective of getting through it without triggering alarms. There's also rune checkpoints throughout the quest, which does appear to tie into the stealth element, but I didn't totally understand how those work during my playthrough. But I'm sure that's something we'll figure out very quickly as the mini expansion comes out this week. The last quest that has that kind of cursed blessing mechanic that I talked about, it's in a very different setting. I won't say where that setting is because I don't want to spoil the story, but it's in a very different setting than the other quests. Let's talk about the side quests a little bit. They're a little bit lighter in tone and tend to revolve around helping certain Morgrave students. I don't really want to give away the story in some of those, but just know that they're a little bit lighter in tone than the mainline quests. I will say the last quest does completely wrap up the Vecna storyline to the point where I don't have any idea, to be honest, where the raid is going. So there isn't a raid that is not released that is coming with this expansion. The quests are the raid, by the way, is going to come out presumably in like a month and a half, something like that. The quests in the mini expansion are all very zergable and simple and straightforward. There's nothing in these quests that's going to confuse you. I had zero issues getting through any of them blind. You don't have, for example, a super complex quest that like say Inferno of the Damned or Invitation to Dinner where you're going to get confused going around the map. I had, even though the maps are large in some of these quests, I had zero issues getting to the end. So that could be a pro or a con depending on how you like your DDO quests. On one hand, you won't get confused figuring out where to go, but on the other hand, there's not quite as much to sink your teeth into. So that could, again, so I don't know. It's up to you. Do you like that or not? I don't know. I think players are going to vary on that. There are some new monsters here in the expansion. I think the most standout one that I'm going to mention here is Nothix. So basically it's a monster with a big giant eye. They have the refining trait is a cone gaze attack, which does extremely high damage. It has kind of a similar graphic and range to a, say, Medusa gaze. It's, however, very telegraphed, so and quite slow. So I'm not sure it's going to be that challenging to avoid. I mean, I had zero issues avoiding it. That said, I did run all these on. I ran all these on Epic Elite on the when I did run through them on a previous server. So maybe the mechanics a little different on Reaper. I don't know. We'll have to see when this releases. But they are a cool looking monster. The loot, I don't have a lot to say yet. There's a lot of cool looking loot, a lot of cool looking new augments. I'll show some here on the screen right now. Some of these like Fort Bypass, Assassinate DCs, Vitality HP augments, +3 action boost charge augments, among other things. But there's some cool looking augments. But there's a lot of Gear Tetris considerations to take into account on release of this expansion. So I'm going to hold off to say more about the loot until my proper final review of this mini expansion that'll come later on this channel. So, you know, overall, what do I think? How does this compare to Saltmarsh overall? I think it's good quality content. We haven't seen the raid yet, but I think as of now, it's fair to say it's better than Saltmarsh. The setting's better, the storyline's better. Graphically, it looks a lot better than kind of the muddy terrain of Saltmarsh. The monsters are more varied and interesting. The public area is way better than Saltmarsh's. In the quests, well, I didn't do many optionals, so there's a lot of optionals I didn't see or have time to do while Lamania preview was open. So even though I haven't done the optionals, still, that said, the maps are a lot more interesting to me, even if actually finishing the quest is rather simplistic. I have a feeling there's optionals I didn't quite sink my teeth into, and I especially didn't sink my teeth into how you do that Grand Theft Auto via stealth. I want to see that. So some of the downsides of this, there is no wilderness area. So unlike Saltmarsh, there is no wilderness area. However, Saltmarsh didn't have a raid, and Vecna Unleashed will have a raid, so there's a give and a take there. But just be aware, there is no, if you like doing Slayers, there is no Slayer area. No rares, encounters, there's no wilderness area at all. All the quests you enter from the public area. Other than the wilderness area, the only other downsides I would note here is there's not really a lot of new gameplay mechanics here. Well, there are certainly new monsters, settings, and visuals, and certainly the maps are really good in the dungeons. The devs were pretty conservative when it came to quest gameplay mechanics. For example, there's no new puzzles here, just reused puzzles, or maybe puzzles that we've seen before presented with minor alterations. I didn't see any new traps, basically no platforming. You know, there's no complex maze dungeons like Invitation to Dinner and Ravenloft that we mentioned before. You know, nothing where they really went out of their way, say like a Source Sled and Sharn or a Ballista and Epic Three Ball Cove. Nothing like that where they went out of the way to really twist things and mix things up. It's kind of standard Dungeons and Dragons Online questing experience here. So guys, that's about all I have to say right now. Just if you can do me a favor, if you like this video, subscribe please. It helps out the channel, and look out for my full review that will come after I've had more time to play the official release on the live servers. But yeah, as of now, I think it's good. I think you should buy it. I think it's worth your $20. So that's going to be it, guys. If you want to see more stuff from me, check the link below in the description. I have a link in my link tree. There's a link to my Discord, social media, DDO music covers that I do, all kinds of other stuff if you want to check that out. But that's going to be it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed. See you next time. Have a good one. Take care.